Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Commodities Update video. And today we'll be looking at technical analysis on a couple of commodities, natural gas, tradable ticker UNG, and oil, as well as US dollar, gold, and silver. So we'll be looking at the most likely scenario for its price to be heading into later this week and next week. And if you guys like learning anything, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. They're always appreciated. And let's get started. So we're looking at natural gas futures on the adjusted chart where you adjust for the contracts. You can see there's gaps, and then I click the adjusted, there's no more gaps. So we're looking at on the daily time frame, and we are looking at, now we're back in this falling wedge again. So essentially we were potentially going to get that daily inverse head and shoulders if we have a shallow retracement, but after yesterday's candle dropping 9%, it's off the table now again. So now we're back to looking at this big falling wedge again. Resistance, support. So resistance support is a zone. So you can see over here on this bounce, we pretty much back tested this support. You can see prior support. So adjust this by a little bit so you guys can see more clear. Adjust to that red line. See bounce, 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 bounce. And then when we're below it, act as resistance, rejection, rejection, and another rejection there on Tuesday. So at that moment, we have rejected as well. It didn't mean that just because we rejected from that level, we're just going to roll over 9%. Yeah, nobody would have saw that coming. But because we rejected from that and closed within, can't get over this above this falling wedge, the most likely scenario is that we'll likely potentially retest this bottom of the wedge. It's hard to say that we're just going to go straight to it. To predict that, but when you can't get over a level of resistance, the most likely scenario is that they'll retest the level of support, which we did. Pretty much we came down to this bottom of the falling wedge support. You can see bounce, bounce, bounced again. Now we're just going to be trading within it. So we know that now we're probably going to likely trade within here for the next little bit until we actually get a break out of it, either on the upside or downside. As of now, we tested the downside. We broke through it slightly and no follow through, just like we did broke above here, slightly no follow through as well on both sides. So very indecision here for natural gas, either bulls and the bears. You're not getting much of a range. You can see upper range is this 1.99, lower range is closer to this 1.65. We've been in this range since, you could just say all the way back like March 8th. So that's been 2 months, right? This is pretty much where we've been in this range for 2 months. And nothing changed until we'll break out of this falling wedge for a while. And yeah, we'll see if bulls end up holding that level and bounce from here. And when we bounce from here, we're probably going to come back up to test this 1.75 range again, and which was prior support. You can see bounce off of that one, bounce off of this one, bounce off of this one, bounce off of this one, rejected when we're below it. When it came back above it, act as support. So we come up here, first level, which will coincide with exactly with that falling wedge resistance. So that's going to be probably a tough one to get over. So if we come up and we have a shallow retracement, once rejected from there, then there's a good chance we can break about it. But if we come up and then just same thing happens, we just come all the way back down again to test the bottom of the range, then probably not yet. So on this next bounce, let's see if we can get a shallow retracement after rejecting from the area to potentially get a bounce going. And as you guys can see, we never confirmed the daily trend change again on natural gas. So where is that? So we can see on this bounce, one move up. So that's not a daily trend change. This is a bounce. We needed a pivot being set where it sets the higher low and then break to a higher high. So we never set a pivot, and now we broke to a lower low. So bulls back to step one again. Thinking with bears lately, not much of a trend change as of now. Just one move down. Actually, they have a daily downtrend. So one move up, down, bounce, made a lower low. So we broke that low. So bears have a daily downtrend confirming. And not much follow through at this today, but we'll see if it follows through tomorrow. And if it does break through this falling wedge, there's two scenarios here. We get a bear break from this falling wedge, and then we V-shape and come back as a bear trap, then that'll be a bear trap. And or we just hold this level and bounce from here and potentially chop around this falling wedge. Those are two scenarios I'll be looking at for natural gas here. And yeah, so as of now, bears are in full control on every time frame, weekly and daily, monthly, all in a downtrend. So burden's back on the bulls. This was a big enough bounce where we're, maybe let's see if we can get that daily uptrend. But nope, bear just took it all the way down yesterday. And so bulls are back to square one. And bears are back to full control. We'll see how that goes. And yep, same thing with UNG, back to square one, although we didn't make a lower low. So that's a good sign. But pretty much back to square one again as well. Unless we can form an equilibrium here, big enough bounce, because we didn't break to a new low, this could potentially form an equilibrium, meaning that next move is going to be within the prior move, so it'll be a tightening range. Now, if we do come back up, where natural gas goes up to potentially this 1.76 range resistance, and this will come up closer to here, 15.25, and then pulls back, rejection from that resistance and form that tightening range. A pretty likely scenario if that happens. Yeah. Check the daily time frame. Yeah, similar idea. All right, and if you guys want to support the channel, feel free to go to the Patreon link or book that 15-minute call if you guys want to learn more about coaching. And it's a free 15-minute call just for intro call. And let's take a look at oil. So oil at this moment held the support. You can see bounce, 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 bounce. Support 4 times. And essentially now we have 4-hour uptrend. So right here, bounce, pivot being set a higher high. So now we have 4-hour uptrend, meaning we're going to come up and test this structure, low of the structure, which we are pretty much right at right now. And yeah, so I'll see if oil can come up to test this 81.43, which rejected once there. And should form that daily tiny range. I think I talked about this one. Yeah, perfect bounce right there at that level. Back the other support, back up, and now we're forming a tiny range. Actually, if we come up all the way closer to this 81.43, then we start pulling back, then we're looking for a sideways tiny range here. A lot of equilibriums forming lately, and because after a big move, usually we form a tiny range. Is the most likely scenario after a significant move. We need to consolidate either sideways or through time or through pulling back. US dollar, so that weekly tightening range that I talked about, same thing. Big move up, see the move within the prior move. Next move is within the prior move. So I said if we start breaking down from this week or we don't close above the prior week's candle, the most likely scenario here is that we may form a tightening range. So this is starting to shape up. So if we close here for the week, it's going to increase the probability. This is going to start to form a tightening range on the weekly chart here. And yeah, and so far it's doing that. And we'll see how it ends up playing out. This will take a long time to play out because it's a weekly chart. There's only one candle per week. And yeah, ideally, this would be good for stock market bulls if this continues to pull back. Probably if we come down, it'll likely come down to this around this level. We'll probably retest this 103 first and then form this tiny range around here. But take it 1 week at a time. Still be a long ways to go to that level. Yeah, for $1, 2.3% is quite a bit. All right, let's take a look at gold. And slight bounce here. So big enough drop. Let's see if bears can confirm daily downtrends. So big enough drop. I talked about this on Tuesday, where if we get a shallow retracement, and it's gonna be a daily downtrend forming. So this is a shallow bounce. So we slightly, you can see every day we bounce above the prior day's high, and there's no follow through. So that may be a slight red flag here. Bounce, see, goes above, and then we always end up closing below the prior day's high. So we may end up getting potentially a shallow bounce here and head lower. So let's see if we break today's low. If we start breaking today's low, then we're looking at this Tuesday's low. That breaks, that's a daily downtrend confirm, and we'll likely get a little bit more downside from there if that happens. In silver, same thing, slight bounce. You can see decent bounce, and EMA was acting as support, this teal looking line on the way up. So now it's acting slightly as resistance. We're back testing it. Drop, this may also form a daily downtrend if we break Tuesday's low at this 26.66. Over here, if we break down there, then we're probably going to come back and back test this black line, which is the long time support of this big wedge where we broke out of bull. You can see how long we've been chopping within this big triangle, and we finally broke bull out of that. Very significant move, and now we're just pulling back. If we break that and give a daily downtrend, then I'm looking back at potentially retesting this level. First, it'll be 25.9, which is going to be this cluster of support. If that breaks, it'll be this black line. Down support. All right, let's talk off you guys. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you guys learn anything, and feel free to support the channel by clicking the join button in the YouTube below or the Patreon link. I will see you guys over the weekend on Saturday for more updates. Have a great rest of you guys' week, and always set your stop losses so you don't blow up your account.